Good evening, and hello. I'm glad to see that some of you have already joined, and I am glad to know that you all are here. Listen, I hope you all had a wonderful 4th of July long weekend and you had great success with your cookouts on yesterday. I hope everyone ate well, but did not overindulge on your holiday eating. But I'm glad that you all are here. I'm hoping that everybody's well. I hope everybody enjoyed all of the fireworks that were going on. We had a lot going on in our neighborhood, and people with pets. They were all over the place. And then having an autistic child, she did pretty good. But those loud booms, Lord have mercy. So the vets with PTSD, I'm so sorry. I didn't do it, but I know a lot of people in the neighborhood that did. But anyway, again, so glad that you all have joined us tonight. Listen, we have a great topic tonight: men versus mental health. And I am so very glad to have with us a dear friend and brother of mine, Mr. Ricky Gaillard, who is going to spearhead this conversation that we're going to be having. It's, something that's quite serious. And I know when you all saw the comments of those that have been joining or been following the information, I was saying that there are a lot of men that are out there that are dealing with mental health issues, but they're actually not being diagnosed, mainly because some of them are not going to be checked because of the macho thing. But we're going to discuss more of that in a few. But I want to go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and bring Ricky in. Hey, Ricky, thank you for
Hey,
being with us tonight. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you so much for joining. And listen, for those that are out there that are on now, please like, love, share the
Yeah.
post. Because again, this is a very serious topic. So I want you to go ahead and share it. I want you to tag some people, put them in the comments so that they can, be aware that we're on time and everything. So we are on and we're ready to get in great discussion with this because this is very important. I discussed some of this information with my husband even, and we were talking about it, and we were talking about the reasons probably why men don't really say anything. So, Ricky, let's introduce yourself. I want you to do it to the people that are out there. You were on a couple of weeks ago when we talked about mental health and dealing with the school, with the violence and stuff that was going on. It was wonderful. My daughter was on with us
Yeah.
as well, and it was a great conversation. And so I ask that you come back to talk about men and mental health because you're a man, number one. I
Right.
could try to deal with the topic, but I am not a man. And it's just having a male perspective would be great, as well as the fact that you deal with mental health counseling as well. So please introduce yourself and go from there.
Yeah, like you said, my name's Ricky Gaillard. I am a financial advisor with Edward Jones. I am a husband, a father of six, and someone who just truly loves God. And just thankful for the opportunity to be here to talk about what I think is a vitally important topic, especially right now. And yeah, I did not too much to say about me. I'm just a regular old dude. I used to work for Horry County Schools as a behavior interventionist. I worked for Lighthouse Care Center of Conway in their mental health hospital. I worked at a couple group homes. So I've worked with a lot of different people on different ages with different mental disabilities and behavioral issues, and always done the best that I can to help. So I'm hoping that tonight, this conversation will be able to help some more people um, get the help that they need, talk about some things that they may have been holding close to their chest, and see if we can get some of that off for sure.
Awesome, awesome. That sounds great. And that is definitely one of the things that we want to do. I was doing some reading, some research in this. And when I was doing the research, it said, and I put some of it on the post that
Okay.
I did when I shared with Facebook. And it said that men are less likely than women to be diagnosed with any of the most common health concerns or health disorders. And those who have received a diagnosis are less likely to seek treatment. So I want to talk about that. I do want to talk about what the most commons are. because when I was researching that, of course, anxiety, depression was one, suicidal thoughts were another. So I want you to, try to hit some of those heavy points, and let's dig in because what my main question, honestly, is the why men don't seek the they don't seek treatment. Why is it that the
It's
men or gentlemen don't want to go to
it's
get checked?
because we're men, Danielle. We're men. That's why.
Okay, okay, you're men, but still, but I mean, but
Men don't need help. What we need help for?
oh, you're
Oh,
right,
it's,
you're right. You that's it, that
I'm
macho thing,
joking.
right?
I'm joking, but that's a huge part of it.
Right,
I mean, we're raised that we're supposed to be able to handle things. Men
right.
aren't judged on intentionality. We're judged on results. If you don't get
Mhm.
it done, you ain't really standing up and being a man. And so we put
Wow.
all this extra pressure on ourselves. Um, have you seen? There's this commercial. I can't. There's this commercial. A guy's in a weight room and he's under the barbell and
Uh-huh.
he has the bench press on his chest, and it's way too much weight for him to lift. It's just sitting on his chest, and his friend turns around and sees, oh man, and he runs over there and he's like, yo, can I help you get that up? And he's
Right.
like, nah man, I got it. He's like,
Wow.
it's all right, I'll handle it, and he's sitting there with all this weight on his chest and he can't move and he won't ask for help. And I think it's a great analogy of how a lot of men deal with mental health issues, with issues in general.
Right.
We'll put all that weight on our chest, and we won't get anybody to spot us. We won't get anybody to help us lift the weight, and so we end up dying younger.
Mm,
We end up dealing with a whole lot of issues at younger ages. Our wives outlive us, and it's really because we're not taking care of ourselves.
wow.
And so I'll use myself as an example just to kind of set the stage. I got two little stories. So um, the first one, I may have already told you this before, Danielle, but I don't know. But so when my son Gabe was real young, he always wanted to go everywhere with me. So I was going to the store to get some snacks for the house. He wanted to go. So I was like, all right, Gabe, come on. And we hop in the car. We go to the store, which is right across the street. And when we're coming back, it starts pouring down rain. Now I'm wearing a suit. He was just in his, like, some shorts and stuff, but it is pouring rain when we get back. So I'm like, man, I take off my suit coat. He was little, so I wrap him up in the suit coat completely, like cover him up.
Right.
And I grab the bags and I run in the house. And when we get in the house, I am absolutely soaked and wet. And I unwrap him and he's completely dry. And in that moment,
Mm,
it was like God saying, this is what it's like to be a man. He said, when your family is going through storms, a lot of times you will wrap them up and cover
that's
them up,
good.
and your family comes through the storm absolutely dry, but you get soaking wet.
That's
And no,
good.
and you're
Woo!
carrying all of that water, you're carrying all that weight, but your family dry. So you feeling like, man, I did what I need to do. Um, Here's the problem with that, and I found this out the hard way. I'd gotten sick. You may know, I had to go to the hospital, get checked out, and the doctor sat me down. He said, listen, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking you're doing the best thing you can for your family because you're making all these sacrifices, trying to put everybody before yourself. He said, but that's the worst thing you could do.
Worst.
He said, because if you go down, what happens to your family?
Talk. Yes.
And I said,
Yes.
whoa. It shook me. I stopped. He said, the best thing you can do is make sure that you are okay. Because if you're okay, your family will be fine. But if something happens to you, what
Mm,
will happen to your family? And so today, if I don't stress anything, I want to stress the fact that it's important for us men to take care of ourselves, to take care of our mental health, not to carry all that water alone, not to carry all that weight alone, but find ways to unload. Um, Talk to other brothers, man. We don't do that enough.
yeah.
Um, and like you said, so the top mental health issues that we deal with are depression, and anxiety, uh, PTSD, uh,
Mm,
you know, and so a lot of times, especially with men, like we only really comfortable showing one emotion, and that's mostly anger.
Right,
So
right,
we sad,
right.
so we mad. I mean, yeah, I'm hurt, so I'm mad.
Right,
And so it comes out all kinds of different ways. And then so you find a lot of men, not only with depression and anxiety, but also with substance abuse, right?
right,
Um, Drinking, doing drugs, pornography, um, finding something to fill those voids that we have when really we need to find healthier ways to talk to one another, talk to our wives. That I think that's probably where we need to start, man. Just trying to find ways to be more vulnerable.
right, right. And it's crazy because when you were talking about when I mentioned it and you said we're men, like that's the reason. That's the social norm around the gender of for male and female anyway. It teaches young men that they should be emotionally strong, and they should avoid the tears and showing vulnerability and all of that. So that's why you guys, but men tend to downplay that whole, something's wrong with me. And that was a great story. And it was powerful because honestly and truthfully, of course, when you were talking, I'm like, that's how God covers us too, because he does
Right,
the same thing, and that's how we're covered. But just like you said, when you got all of these stressors and things, the part that we feel or we get society, or we're married, so your wife and then my husband, when you all show your stressors, or when you show that your symptom
right,
from the problem, when those symptoms come out, then we see the aggression or the violence. You start doing something crazy, and I'm not saying that you're aggressive or violent
right.
by any means, neither with my husband, but I can talk about my husband. He has this aggression, and I can tell. I go, you all right? Like, what's wrong with you today? It's like,
Yeah,
was work okay? Like, and he be like, I'm fine. And I'm like, you
yeah,
snapping? Like,
yeah.
why you snapping at me? Whatever, whatever. And he says the same thing to me. He was like, oh, well, I know when menopause, when you going through that, your change is right now. But I mean, we see those signs and those aggression, and
Right,
as a result, then the mental health issues, because again, you're not taking care of it. It becomes undiagnosed. You all don't get it treated, and then or it's misdiagnosed,
right,
because then you might go to the doctor and your anxiety level is up, and it's because of depression, is because of a disorder, an actual disorder. But because you don't go, you probably start popping pills, like, give me a Tylenol, give me an aspirin or something, because again, you're strong. Men are strong,
right,
and I won't even take that away from you all with the characteristics in the way that you're built. You're built to cover. You're built to pour into, society, your family. You're built that way. So because of it, by suppressing it, and you're misdiagnosed or underdiagnosed, then
right,
how then, question, do we as women deal, or how do we help possibly get you to the next level, or get you to going to be seen? I use my husband for an example. Even with this, my husband, turning the age of 45, but before he was 45, and Chadwick Boseman died, and the prostate cancer, and all of this, whatever, whatever. And my husband is quite healthy, right? And so,
mhm,
well, he is healthy. He's not quite healthy, he's very healthy. But at the
right.
same time, all of these things. I'm like, when the last time you been to the doctor? Like, for real, doctor, with your job, you have to get these physicals or whatever. But when the last time you actually were seen? And so I kept pushing it. I was forcing it. Like, I was like, come on, you gotta go. You gotta go. And of course he went, but it was like, he was just like, but I'm fine though. I don't have to go. What is it? How can we show support? How do we look at it? What is the measurement for it, or
Right.
the signs that we need to be looking for to actually get to that spot? I hope I made that question somewhat clear.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and it's a really good question, and I think that a lot of men show signs of, like, we withdraw a lot. So when we're dealing with stuff, a lot of men, we don't go and find people to talk to. We don't have like a group of friends that we'll go. in most cases, from what I find, we don't go and find our group. We instead pull away. We get
Mm.
to ourselves. You know, we get extra spiritual. You know, I got to go to my prayer closet or your man cave or whatever
Right.
it is.
Right.
But really, it's still the same behavior. It's withdrawal. And so, yeah, we withdraw a lot. And, you know, I was listening to you, you know, like I think about times when I have a bad day and my wife wants me to talk about it. And I don't want to talk about it. I had a bad day. That's all you need to really know. Like,
Look,
it was a
my
bad
producer
day.
in here going like, right? Like, I don't
Well,
want to
tell
talk
me
about it.
about it.
Like, right.
Tell me about. No, I don't want to tell you about it. Just know it wasn't the best. It was okay. Let's watch some TV. So we just gotta get better at voicing those issues. Something you said a lot of good things that had my mind just kind of going. I didn't plan on talking about this, but I guess I will. Um, I, so last year, um, in November, my wife finally just talked me into going to the doctor. She'd been talking to me all year about going to the doctor,
Uh-huh.
and I finally went because I was having some different issues, and I found out that I was like in stage 4 or 5 kidney failure. I
Wow.
found that out, and at the end of November, and it was so I was so far along, so bad that I had an emergency surgery. Like I found out, and 2 weeks later, I had the 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 tube put in me so I could start peritoneal dialysis, and I've been doing dialysis every night ever since.
Wow.
Um, 8.5 hours a night, um, and I'm still doing that now. Now I bring that up because uh, this past weekend we get the phone call, "Hey, there's a kidney available. Come on to Charleston so you can get surgery. We need you here in 2 hours." So we drop everything. We send the kids to my mom's house, pack up some bags because we know we're gonna be gone. We drive to Charleston. Long story short, after hours of tests and finally taking the shower and going to surgery, they say, "Oh, not happening today. The
Oh,
kidney that we had isn't any good. We thought it might work, but it's not going to work." Um, so immediately, my response is, "Oh yeah, you know, it's okay. We good."
right.
Now, Now, if I'm truthful, it wasn't good. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
It wasn't good. Like, you know, dealing with all these changes in this short period of time and then having your hopes raised up and then dashed like that takes a lot out of you.
Yeah.
Um, Men deal with those type of issues in silence most times. Like we don't even tell our friends about it. Our wives sometimes kind of can feel it and say something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm bringing that up because it's not necessarily a mental health issue as much as it is a behavioral issue. It's what we've learned to do.
Right.
Um, and if we don't learn to change that behavior, we're going to keep checking out of here earlier and leaving our families at a disadvantage. Um, and so I'm just, you know, I'm using myself as an example. I'm learning the importance of going and getting to the doctor. Because if you see me, you probably think I'm super healthy, but I'm not.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I'm not. And so that's the thing. Men, so this is something that I learned a long time ago, and you can tell me, I think it's true. A long time ago, I don't know who said this to me, but he told me that a man's strength is his beauty, where a woman's beauty is her strength. He told me, he said, a man's strength is his beauty, but a woman's beauty is her strength. And what he explained to me, he said, look at it, man. If you see a woman who's beautiful, other women respect her. Other women flock around her, and she does well on her job, and it gives her a strength. It gives her an aura. Just the fact that she has that inner beauty or whatever it is that just shows up, it makes her stronger. Whereas with a man, the stronger he is in character and ability, the more attractive he is. A man's strength makes him beautiful. So we try to be as strong as possible. And I
That's
know it to
good.
be true. I
Yeah.
know it to be true because
Uh-huh.
I tell that. So when I get a chance to teach the men or the kids, the boys Bible study, I'll tell them this story about when I was in high school. There was this girl that I really liked. I wanted to talk to her so bad. She had a girlfriend. She already had a boyfriend and all that. And so one of my friends knew her, and I was like, "Man, you got to hook me up." And he went and talked to her, and he came back. And he said, "Rick," she said, "You all right, man. Like you an okay looking dude. Like, but she's not really interested." And I was like, "All right." He was like, "She said I'm all right." He said, "Yeah, man, all right." I said, "All right." So that weekend, ironically, that weekend I ended up it had a speaking engagement, and it was at a church that she went to.
Oh.
And I did really, really well at this speaking engagement. I did a really, really great job. And so after seeing me in front of a crowd, strong and speaking well and doing all that, that Monday she went back to my friend and was like, "Yo, your boy fine. I want to holler at it." And I was like, "Word?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "All right, man, hook me up." And
That
so
is funny.
the point in my story is, if you
Yeah.
have strength, you can go from being all right to
Yeah.
being fine. A man's strength makes
Yeah.
him beautiful. And so because of that, we do everything that we can to look
Mhm.
strong. No, we don't want to look weak in any way. That's what makes me me. I gotta be strong.
Right. 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 Right.
And so we don't realize that sometimes showing vulnerability does make you strong.
Yeah.
Sometimes being open enough to say, "Yeah, I'm dealing with some stuff," is the strong move. I didn't learn that. If I'm being honest, I didn't really learn that till about 5 years ago when in the business I'm in right now. I'm in business for myself. I'm doing some things for myself, and I was fronting with these clients when they would ask me questions that I didn't have answers to. I'd front like I knew.
Right.
But the first time I had the courage to say, "You know what, sir, ma'am, I don't have that answer right now, but I'll get it for you." The first time I did that, I realized how strong it was. And
Right.
so sometimes being vulnerable as a man really puts you in a position of strength. And so but we want to be strong. And I think that's one of the issues that we have. We need to be strong. We need to be viewed as that.
Right. Right. You're right. That's good. Like you said so much just now that it's just like I have a whole bunch of questions, but we do have a comment that I want to read, and it's a question. Do you think it's all men that's that's this way or just black men?
Ooh, that's a great question. I would say, my
Somebody
personally,
already answered black men. Go ahead. Go ahead. Somebody said
I
that. Go ahead.
mean,
I'm sorry.
I think so. If I'm honest, it's probably more in the black man than it is in other demographics. Um, and especially in America, I would say black men in America,
Hmm.
um, because of the unique position we've been in over hundreds of years because of
Yep.
slavery and all
Yep.
that. When you're a man, but then when you're with these other men, you're treated as a boy. Um, at some point, it causes something in you to change,
Right.
and so these types of behaviors get passed down over time. And so the only way you can, show yourself strong is to overcompensate in other ways, be more aggressive here or different things like that. So, but I think that all men do it. I think that all men feel the need to be strong, um, to kind of beat our chest. And I think it's in us, man. And one thing I also believe, I think society has changed so much that, you know, being that type of man isn't as applauded as it once was.
Mm.
Like being the big strong man used to get you the big piece of chicken. You know what I mean? Like you got respect at home, like you got respect in the community. But
Right.
now, you know, like you now being that kind of man is kind of talked down about almost. It's like, you hear the conversations about toxic masculinity
Right.
and things of
Right.
that. Why does masculinity have to, what makes it toxic is when you're aggressive and abusive towards people. But what also happens now is because it's being talked about in that way, men pull back from doing things that they feel naturally they're supposed to do. Like naturally, we want to be protectors, providers.
Right.
That's what we want to do. But then you start pulling back because you feel resistance. You feel like you're not appreciated. And so you don't want to keep going in that cycle. So anyway, that was about to take me in a different direction away from mental health. But
I
yeah,
know that could. I was listening, and that could definitely do that. But that is great. That you're saying what you're saying, and I'm looking at some of the comments, and talking about the generational issues with it.
yeah,
It being like you said, hundreds of years, 400 plus years, from just coming over. Like if African Americans, when we were brought here, I mean, we had to show that strong well, let's just go back, even if you look at it and just being honest and politically correct on it. Even
sure,
the white man saw the strength in the black man, number one. And so, even so, and if you look at the movie Roots, they talk about when Kuta Kente was being whipped and everything. Like, he was like, I'm not gonna say, I can't remember what the name was supposed to be, because all I remember him keep saying, my name is Kunta
right.
Kinte. Like, he had to
Toby,
Toby, yeah, thank you. So it was like, you having again, keep that manhood. You're told you're not supposed to cry. That's what JR said. That's how we were raised. And even for women, like, I don't know, I used to get a spanking. It was like, I ain't gonna cry because I'm gonna show how tough and strong I am. But that vulnerability showed your breaking point, and they relented. And
right,
so, even, and I'm saying a lot, I feel like I'm like putting so much in there. But even when you show your vulnerability, I'm talking about my husband for a minute.
right,
My husband is extremely strong, like physical strength, like extremely strong. His demeanor, his character, his mental, he's a very, very strong black man. But you get him in church and he start to worship, he goes in the bathroom. We walk in church, he goes and get the hand towel, the paper towel, and rolls it up and folds it, because he is a water bag. Like, he worships, he cries, and he show it. Now, when he first started doing that mess, I said that mess. That's right. That's what I said. When we first started doing that mess, I was like, you a water bag. How you punking out like that with the Lord? Like, that's what I was saying to him. Like, dude, like, why you doing that? Like, not that it was a bad thing that he was crying, but I was picking at him. Like, I literally
right,
was picking at him. Like, you a man. You ain't supposed to cry. Like, stop it. Whatever, whatever. And I was joking. And then I realized, as I just stated the statement, when you relent, when you give in, when you stop trying to be so strong, when you show the vulnerability, then somebody be like, "Oh, you're stronger by showing that point," as you said. I realized when he was crying, God was like, "Oh, there you go. All right." It was almost like, now I can do what I need to do, because you're showing me that you're not the person that you really think you are. Because that's another
mhm,
thing. Men think that they have to carry so much, and you don't have to. You really, really don't have to. Yes, you're strong, but you don't have to carry the weights that you have to carry. You think you have to carry not a water bag, but
right.
a weeping prophet.
A
That's right,
weeping
Angela.
prophet. That's
But a
right,
weeping prophet. You're right, and that's what it was. It was, but I was joking. I was picking at him.
right,
But in that sense of being able to relent, being able to actually let go and let someone assist and help, because that's what God was trying to do. Like, go, I need you to go ahead and cry now. 'Cause once you cry, I got you. I got your blessings for you. In the same thing with families, with a husband and a wife. Dr. Miles Monroe said it to a group of his when he was alive, of course, and he was teaching a group of men. And it was, of course, I wasn't there. It was something that was on TV, because it was a group of
sure,
men. It was like a men's conference or whatever. But he was teaching a group of men, and he basically was like, y'all, he called them wimps. He was like, y'all wives are here, to help you. They're called help meet for a reason. And he was like, God doesn't give you someone to help meet your need if they don't have the same capacity. And it wasn't really necessarily talking about physical strength, but the same capacity that they have, that you have, to be able to take you to the next level. He used an illustration with the podium that was at the church. and it was a big one of them husky podiums, and he went up there and he was like, I'm trying to lift this. I can't do it on my own. So my wife, who's my help me, because this is your issue, this your problem, right? Your wife
Mhm.
now is to be here to help you lift this. If you needed somebody to help you move this podium, you were going to get somebody either the same strength as you or stronger, because you don't need anybody weaker than you. That's what that woman is for the man as a helpmeet. There's somebody that is capable, that has the same strength you have to meet your needs, to help you, or stronger to put you over the top. And so men, I wish that men, not necessarily in a marital situation, because we're not dealing with marriage, we're dealing with men in general, to
Right,
know that there are people out there in society, counselors, therapists, all of these people that can assist to help meet your need. We don't look at you. I personally don't look at a man that has to go and get assistance and help for something, or even a woman, but we're dealing with men, and say, "Ooh, that's beneath me. Oh, you have to go get counseling. Ooh, like you're weak." And then look at that person as to say, "You're so weak." Now I look at you as you are a problem. You can't supply for me, or you can't supply for your family, or you can't do the job. I don't look at it as it. I look at it as somebody at this point that has shown the vulnerability, and now they're wanting to better themselves to be a better help for, if that
right.
makes sense. And I'm gonna stop
Yeah.
talking because I feel like I'm talking too much.
No, well, I mean, you said a lot of good things, and I know. So one thing you said, I'm glad you said it because this is why I kind of slowed down earlier. Because we're going to touch on marriage, if I'm honest, like the
Yeah,
way this conversation is going, like, and the reason I say that, I know a lot of men struggle mentally and emotionally in their relationships. And vulnerability is an issue.
yeah,
And
yeah.
here's why. I want to be strong. I want to cover my family. I want to be the man of the house. But every now and then, I got to show the areas where I'm weak, or I'm vulnerable. Well, what happens when I show that vulnerability and my wife then attacks it or is insensitive to it? Now, what I've learned is that the person I trusted with my vulnerability will
There you
now
go.
hurt me with that. So now I ain't going to do that again. You may not see that again. And so
Right.
what ends up
That's
happening
so
is this
good.
cycle starts where you have a woman then she gets angry
Yeah.
because now she has expectations and she's looking for you to do stuff, but because she's harmed you, you pulling back. And the more you pull back, the more angry she gets. And the
Right.
more angry she gets, the more you pull back. So it becomes this whole cycle of the the non-responsive man becoming more passive, becoming less manly, and the woman becoming more aggressive and more angry because she got expectations and he's saying, I'm tired of your expectations, and when I try to be vulnerable with you, you attack me, so I'm just going to back off, and it
Come
becomes a
on.
cycle. It
There you
becomes a
go.
cycle.
There you go.
And
Close off and less communicating. There you go. That's
right.
it. Right.
So it becomes this nasty cycle, the angry wife and the passive husband. And I see it all the time. And if I'm honest, it's biblical, right? The Bible talks about, so if we go back to Genesis chapter 3,
Mm-hmm.
Adam and Eve,
Mm-hmm.
the fall in the garden. God says, serpent. God said, Adam, what happened? Adam said, man, that woman you
That
gave me,
woman.
Lord,
That woman.
it was her fault, man. She knew we was supposed to be eating this stuff. She brought it to me. So God said, woman, what did you do? It wasn't me, Lord. It was the serpent. The serpent did it. And the serpent gets cursed first, right? You're going
Right.
to slither on your belly. You're going to eat
Mm-hmm.
dust. Okay. Woman, she gets cursed next. This is what God says to her. So you're going to have pain in your childbearing.
Yep.
And then this is the part that's key. He says, you will have desire for your husband, but he will rule over you. Now, what that means is I didn't understand that scripture at first. It says your desire will be for your husband, yet he will rule over you. Now, I didn't know what that meant. So when I kept reading the Bible in the very next chapter, when God is talking to Cain and Abel, when he's talking to Cain, he says, Cain, sin is at the door. Its desire is for you, but you got to rule over it. And that's when it clicked. I realized what he was
That's
saying
good.
is sin wants to control you, but you got to rule over it. So in the same sense, when he was talking to the woman, he was saying, woman, you going to want to run your man, but he going to run you. And so,
Ricky.
and so, and so,
Oh,
so that's what it is. God said your desire will be for your husband, but he gonna rule over you. And so that's an issue because a woman want to be in charge. She want to do what she want to do. But your husband, but you gotta listen to your man. So that's a problem. And when you tell him to do something, man, it might be the right thing, and then he's being passive about it. It's gonna make you angry. And then he's going to say, you know what? I don't want to deal with no angry woman. So he going to back off. And again, that same cycle I just talked about. So that's biblical. The Bible spells it out. Your desire is going to be for your husband, yet he going to rule over you. I want to be in charge, but he in charge. That's the problem. Because if he
bruh,
would just listen to me, we'd get some stuff done around here. I,
bruh.
I
Listen.
know what I'm talking about.
You know
And
you
I
know
know
what
what
you're
I'm talking
talking
about.
about.
So
You know what
so
you're
it's
talking
so
about.
it so what does this have to do with health issues? I'm glad you asked
Yes.
because this cycle is what causes men to become depressed and to pull away. It builds up anxiety in our hearts, and the person that is closest to us is the one that we can't be vulnerable with. And so if we can't be vulnerable with that person, then we just going to hold it all. We're
Ricky,
going to carry all the water and carry all the weight.
this comment right here is leading right to what you're saying now. Men need to be shown that it's okay to break down in a safe place. Men
That's acceptable.
cannot uncover themselves in an insensitive place because it's damaging to them. And I'm telling you, what you just
Amen.
said, everything that you just said about the guilt, I type guilty because I am that strong, aggressive type. So I'm just being that's who I am.
Sure.
And I've been that person with my husband. My husband is by no mean. Let me change the word aggressive. I'm not aggressive. I'm extremely assertive.
Yes.
I'm not aggressive, but I'm assertive. And my husband is just real low key, like real low. Everything is just like, and because some mental health disorders, some mental health issues comes back from generational or that whole thing of it's a family history, so you have all of this. I watch my husband and I watch his history with his family, and I look at his dad is real laid back,
Right.
chill. My husband laid back, chill. People tell me that Kenny is the splitting image, and demeanor of his grandfather, his dad's dad, just laid back, chill. So I got somebody that's laid back and chill. I'm not that person. And so just like Eve, you gonna want to rule your man, but he got rule over you when he laid back and chill. I'm like, dude, da 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 da. So that's what I did. That's what notice you heard the word did,
Right. Right. Right.
did. That's what I did. And I did that for a long time in our marriage. We have been married for 19 years.
Wow.
I've done
That's
that
awesome.
for
Congrats.
thank you. For 11 plus years in my marriage, 11 probably more than 11, but for sure at that mark. That's what I did. That aggression of him and he would, and never so to where like, girl, I'm gonna bash you across your head type thing. But there have
Right.
been times he picked me up and literally go, move. Because I was that person, like, no, you got to do, and just like open up. How am I going to talk to somebody, as Kenny Wilkins said in there? How am I going to relent? How am I going to talk? How am I going to expose myself with issues that I may need help with if I don't have a safe place to do it because
That's
you're
right.
pulling out all of my insecurities?
That's right.
And if I kept doing that to him, I probably wouldn't have the man I have today. But I had to then turn because it became a marital thing for a minute. I had to turn and pull back and look at me,
Yeah.
Danielle. You jacked up. You are so wrong for this. I had the feelings that I have, and those feelings were very important, and they were true, and they were validated. However, I'm not the rule. I'm not the person that I don't have the authority to, not even for him being a husband, but to treat anybody the way I was treating them. Now, I wasn't horrible, but to talk the way I was talking, to speak the way I was speaking to them, that wasn't my place and it was wrong. And so when I realized that, I noticed that the communication level between me and my husband is so much better and so different now. We literally communicate, because that was one of
Hmm.
the major things. But I had to realize that the only reason that we could um communicate was because I had to learn to stop creating the insecurities, John. That's exactly what I was doing. I was not giving him a safe place.
We
I
gotta
did.
have that.
And you got to have that. So men, in order to now go to the mental health clinics or go to the therapist or go to the counselors, I think that that starts with the environment they have at home, in their workplace and everything, because again, we're creating these insecurities for them. We're
Right,
making them feel little to nothing. We're making them feel that, they're, if they go, you're weak, you're a punk, whatever, whatever, whatever. And so because
right.
we do that, they don't, they not
We
go.
just we not gonna go. We gonna
Yeah,
carry it because we gotta look strong.
right,
We got that's it's important to us. We gotta be strong, and we know that. And we know
right.
that. So if you're using those insecurities, those vulnerabilities against me at home, and you're the closest person to me, why would I then go and trust some other system to help me with those issues? They're
That
going they're
part.
going to hurt me too. You know what
That
I'm
part.
saying? So so I'm not. So it's a catch 22, and then you find yourself in a position. It's like, who do I talk to? So now we're stressed out, we're depressed, we're anxious about stuff. We feel like we don't have nobody to talk to about our issues, and we just carry it with a
Yeah.
smile,
Yeah.
or with jokes, or whatever it is that we do to try to make it seem like
Masking.
we okay.
Masking.
But
Yeah.
we're not okay. And,
Right.
and so I saw that in your advertisement for this conversation tonight. You wrote it's okay to not be okay. And
Yes.
and that's like, it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need to understand that as men. It is all right, brother. You do not have to carry all that weight by yourself. As a matter of fact, you cannot. You
Right.
cannot carry all that weight by yourself. It's okay to not be okay. And so one of the things I think that men can do, we need to, our sisters do it, man. They get together, they have these conversations, they talk about stuff like I hear my wife and them talking about stuff. I be like, oh my God, how are they doing that? Me and my homies, we're not talking about that stuff, but they listen all out there. But it's
Right.
so healthy. It's so healthy to have a group of people
Thank you.
that you can completely be yourself with and talk about whatever with. And so men need that. I know that last month, at our church, we had a men's fellowship. And ultimately, all we did was give every brother the mic and let them talk and testify. And we ended up just having conversations and back and forths. And I'll say this too: it's okay to argue too. Brothers like to argue, if I'm honest. I know me and my friends, one of our favorite sports is arguments. We're gonna argue about whatever we can. And that's okay. We need a safe space to be able to do that. And so I think that men struggle with different types of issues because we don't feel safe doing it all the time. But we're competitive, um, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I said it earlier. Society makes a lot of things that I feel like are like masculine type things. It makes you feel like you can't really be that. Like you can't be godly and tough. I'm
Right.
sorry. I'm gonna be both. I'm sorry.
Right.
I, my attitude, and this may be a bad attitude. You tell me, Daniel. But this is my attitude. Like, if the devil show up in church and I can't cast him out, I bet I can throw him out. He can go.
That's
Like,
Kenyatta Hodges right there. That's that.
if I can't cast this devil out, guess what? I can pick him
I
up and
can
throw him out. The devil
listen.
got to go. Like, so, and I don't think that that's sinful. But
Right.
that's why I bring that up. I don't think that that's sinful.
That's
But I
true.
think that a lot of those type of attitudes that men have, they're made to feel like that's sinful. Like, I feel like anger and sin not is okay. I can be angry.
And
I,
sin
I
not.
Listen,
Absolutely.
me and my brother can go toe to, we can go nose to nose as long as we don't sin against one another.
Right.
I'm okay with that. And I feel like brothers need that, man. Like the conference that we had at our church last month, honestly, we had some confrontations. Brothers was like, yo, you dead wrong about that one, blah, blah, blah. And we went back and forth. But at the end of it, everybody felt great because
Mhm.
we needed that space.
Right.
Um, I don't know, man. I just feel like a lot of our mental health issues is because we don't get to release them and we don't get to feel like I'm the man.
I
And so,
think that and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off right
no,
there,
you're
but
perfectly fine. Yeah.
with one of the questions that we do have, what are some steps men can use to protect their mental health? I think that that's one thing that
Yes.
you just stated was about getting together, because women will do that. I have a group of friends. Um, when I feel like jumping off a ledge, I pick up my phone and I text them,
Yeah.
"I'm about to jump off this ledge." And pre-COVID, when we did that, when all right, I'm about to jump off a ledge. Like, okay, where we getting ready to meet to eat at? Let's go. We gonna meet at Chili's. Which one are we gonna be? Like, it was it's almost like an immediate.
Yeah.
Let's get together. Let's go. Let's talk now, for those that could join, because some people didn't, couldn't do it or whatever. There was some that showed their face and was like, "I'm here for you. I gotta go, but I'm here for you." You like, but it was that type of camaraderie. And then you sit, and there were times, and I'm saying this is true. This is true story, like literally true story. And we got together, and they all said ain't nobody really was hungry, and I'm sitting there looking at them, and I gave them my issue, and they're talking back to me, and they're like da 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 da, and I'm looking like I don't care about nothing what y'all saying, because this is what getting ready to happen, because this is what I'm gonna do, and da 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 da. And they were like, dude, and I was like, no, and so like, and I was throwing that issue out there, throwing out there, and at the end of the day, as you said, near the end, and they were telling me like, Danielle, you can't do that. Oh yes, I
Right.
can. I'm a grown
Whatever I
woman.
want to do.
I can do whatever I want to do. You
Right.
can't tell. And so it was that type of party. And you have that. So we have certain safe spaces that we do as females, one of them being getting together or trying to talk it out with other people. But what are some
Yeah.
of the steps that men can use to protect their mental health? Like,
Right.
throw something at
So,
me. And then after you say that, I want to talk about a comment that somebody have up here after you give that information.
yeah, I'll just say real quickly. Number one, find people that you can trust and talk to. I think that that's vitally important that you can bounce those ideas off someone.
Mhm.
Number two, exercise. I think, and that's something that I've I'm learning to implement more. I used to be real healthy and exercise all the time, but your body creates some different hormones that are very healthy for you,
True.
that will do a lot for your mental health with just a little bit of exercise, walking. Um, find so that's two. So number one, find somebody to talk to. Number two, do some exercise. Another step that you can help that can help with mental health is to I would say pray or have a time alone where you get to focus your mind.
Mhm.
Um, I take every morning. I take a long morning shower, and Amy know not to come in the bathroom and mess with me during that time, because I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna focus. I'm gonna get my mind right, and so she gives me that space. Like so, is men need that. Um, we also need. Uh, I would say those are the big three. I don't want to try to make a long list. So find a group or some people that you can talk to and open up about. Non-judgmental. It's just something that
Right.
you can just put it out there. It ain't nobody gonna judge you about it. It is what it is. You
Right.
need that. Number two, you need to exercise. You need to take care of your temple. And then number three, you need to pray. You need to find a space when you're alone to focus and concentrate your mind. A stress-free kind of space. You need those three things, I think, and I think that would help immensely with our mental health. In the event that you need deeper help, then yeah, you can find some counseling. And it
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily have to be in the church. You may need professional mental health
Yes.
counseling,
Yes.
and that is okay. That is
Absolutely.
100% okay. To go sit down with a therapist or someone like that, because we do, listen. We got real mental health issues out here, and they need real doctors with skills to deal with them. So I hope that helps somebody. Just those three things.
Yeah, that definitely helps. One of the things that was placed out there in the comments was a wound that would never heal. When we were talking about the insecurities that we when I was talking about the insecurities
Yeah.
that I built and I created in regards to my husband, and he didn't have to tell me. Like later on, as I started to learn myself and learn what I had been doing, right?
Hmm.
He didn't have to show. Well, first of all, God started telling me, he was like, girl, you are a hot mess. Like you need to work this out. But he didn't have to specifically say to me, um, this is you creating these wounds. This first you keep picking and you keep because we can be a little bite and be like, all right, you bit me, but then you keep picking, you're just scabbed up now, you got a major wound. And so the statement though, a wound that will never heal. I want to say I don't I'm gonna say this, John, and you can come at me afterwards. It's fine. I don't know if I want to agree that it will never heal. And I say that because I believe that with the dealings with my husband and the things that what I created, those things, I believe that healing did take place. Um and I believe healing took place. The scars are still there, right?
Right.
So I think the scars are still there. So I know don't do that no more. Like
Yeah.
I see the scar and it's like, you can't touch there. Like I can't say that there.
Well,
Go
well,
ahead, go
here,
ahead, go ahead. So
yeah.
I'm about to
Well,
say
let me
y'all
say
come at because
this.
I'm the woman. So come at me
Yeah,
if
no,
I'm
no,
wrong.
no. What you're saying is good. What I would say is this. I, I had to have complete knee reconstruction when I came out of high school. I torn my ACL,
Ugh.
and when I got the knee reconstruction done, and afterwards I had to go through therapy, and so I going through physical therapy. I always relate that to emotional therapy because physical therapy was not comfortable. It
Uh,
did not feel good, but it was necessary for my wound to heal properly.
right.
In order for me to have full mobility in my leg, there were exercises I had to do that did not feel good.
Mm.
In addition to that, there was this one thing. So after the surgery, they stapled my wound closed. I didn't have stitches. I had staples. And once they took the staples out, one of the exercises they would do before I got started every day, they would just take their thumb and rub it across my wound because they wanted the scar to heal smoothly. So they had to stimulate the skin cells. And to do that, they had to rub it hard every day.
Woo!
And
That's a
so
different word right there.
I relate that to emotional therapy. Like there are wounds, in order for them to heal properly, so that there's a smaller scar in the future, one that doesn't look bad,
God, that's
somebody
good.
therapeutically has to rub on it and touch it and address it and keep doing that until you're able to do it without pain. And so
Ricky.
that is a process. People say time heals all wounds.
Mm.
I say time heals nothing. I believe that time with an unresolved issue ends up being a bigger problem. If you
You
put time on an unresolved issue, you will have a bigger problem down the road.
Yeah.
But if you take
Yeah.
the time to
To rub
address
it.
the issue and rub on it and touch it, later down the road, you won't have pain in that area. And the scar may still be there, but it'll be a nice, thin, durable scar that you're not going to be worried about. Something that is
I
healthy,
can't.
something that is a reminder, but it's not a pain that you're still dealing with. And so, this whole idea of just kind of leave it alone. I disagree. You can't just leave certain problems alone. You can't leave a negatively impacting unresolved issue over time, because that's going to breed resentment. A
Yes.
lot of and I'll tell you right now, there are a lot of couples that resent each other because they got negatively impacting unresolved issues that they just been letting sit there, and now they just resent each other.
Mm, mm,
But they
mm.
married. And I love the Lord, so I ain't leaving her, and she ain't leaving me, but we gonna resent each other for the rest of our lives. That's not what God intended in a marriage. And so that's a mental health issue. Anytime, and my dad says this, and I'll steal his line. My dad says this all the time. You can't love anybody or anything more than you love God. And what ends up happening is we make our husbands, we make our wives, we make our children gods in our lives.
Mm,
We
mm, mm,
put
mm.
them before the one and true God.
Right.
We put them before our prayer. We put them before our relationship with Him. And then when everything is out of order in our lives, we can't figure it out. Well, it's because you put everything before the main thing.
Right.
So if we keep God first, then our relationships grow the right way. This is so not exactly mental health anymore, but
But
so
no,
I,
but
this
this is good. But you know what? And you said that, but it's blending
it
though.
is.
It's blending. So this is good. Keep going. This is good.
So this triangle right here, so imagine that God is at the top of this triangle, and then at these bottom corners, it's a husband and a wife, right? I can't, yeah, whatever I'm doing. Y'all get
I
the
got. We
picture.
see it. We get the
You get
picture.
the idea, right?
Right.
So with this triangle, husband and wife on the bottom, even, ain't nobody got greater power or authority. We're equals, right? But God is above us all.
Right.
If you notice, if we're both moving towards God, what happens to us?
We get
We get
closer.
closer.
We get closer.
So
Come
as long as
on.
we're focusing going towards God, we're going to get closer. But when we're not, let's say we're focused on each other, we'll miss each other
Cause we fall
every
apart.
time because we're not moving in that direction. And so it's a moving target, and you end up losing. But if everybody's moving towards God, it'll make our relationships a lot easier. We're bearing a whole lot of weight, man, and we're not talking to each other. Listen, men are having issues in their relationships and not knowing what to say or how to say it, and they don't have anybody to get any advice from, and they just carry that weight. So what do
Right.
they end up doing? Substance abuse. We end up drinking. We end
Yep.
up smoking.
Yep.
We end up into pornography.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, it's something that's filling that void that we can't get filled. And it becomes a stronghold. And now we got layers of issues that we're dealing with. The, don't listen. So here's the analogy. Imagine that your house is on fire. The kitchen caught fire. Boom. It's in a blaze.
Right.
You got a fire extinguisher in the house. But instead of going to getting the fire extinguisher and blowing out the fire, you say, you know what? That thing will burn out. I'm just gonna go sit in the bedroom and watch a little TV. I'll close the door and wait. It'll burn out eventually.
Mm.
What's gonna end up happening?
You gonna die.
Your whole house gonna burn down,
And you gonna die.
and you gonna die in there.
Right.
Don't don't ignore the fires in your relationship.
Be
Don't
good
ignore
with
the
them.
fires in your house. Go
Yeah.
and deal with them. It may be uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is okay. It may make you have to be vulnerable all over again. Be brave and be vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? Be assertive with your vulnerability. Learn some techniques for how to communicate your emotions. That's important. If your wife says something to you and you don't like it, don't get mad and just shut down. Say, when you told me that, babe, it made me feel like this.
Right.
This
Right.
is how you made me feel. Now, that doesn't always make the situation okay right away, but it's a start. It's a start. Babe, you made me feel like this. Well, that ain't what I wanted to do. I apologize. Well, okay. Well, you still made me feel this way. I just need you to understand how I feel.
Right.
It's important. So, anyway, I'm just kind of rambling, but I'm very passionate about this particular topic. I really am. Like, marriage is work, relationship is work, and I feel like my wife and I, we've always put the work in, like always. We used to
Yeah.
watch these like marriage videos, and even before we got married, we was doing that kind of stuff. So I believe that it's important to always be working on your relationship, because if you don't, I'm telling you, that thing can go sideways quick. Um,
Yeah.
so
I have
it's important. Yeah, I see somebody's comment. We're never taught to even to identify any emotions or something like that. I think,
yeah,
yeah, we need to be able to identify what we're feeling. You can't deal with your feeling unless you address what you're feeling. And so a
exactly.
lot of times we fake it out. Oh man, I don't. Why are you upset? I ain't upset. Like, you obviously are. No,
Because
I'm
you
not. Just
yelling,
leave
because
me
you
alone.
yelling.
I'm not mad. Okay, you
Yes,
seem a
you
little
are.
mad.
You yelling.
You seem a little mad. It's okay to be mad.
Just a
It-
little. You seem just a
yeah,
little mad.
it's okay to be sad. Yeah,
Yes.
it's okay to be sad. My wife, to this day, she don't like to cry in front of me. I'm like, babe,
Oh,
like
oh.
she'll do it, but it's like uneasy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh my God, here it comes. Babe, it's okay. It's
Right.
okay. And we don't like to be vulnerable. It's scary. I remember back in the day, Pastor Lee used to say, when you get married, young people, he said the first thing y'all need to do on your wedding night, for y'all do anything else, is just take off all your clothes and look at each other. Just stand there and look, see what you got.
Oh,
The most uncomfortable thing in the world.
see what you got?
What he was exposing is the fact that we need to be naked in front of each other, that we need to be completely
Right.
vulnerable,
Completely
and we need
vulnerable.
to learn how to be comfortable in that state. This is the
Yeah.
last thing I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave it because I know I'm over your time.
No,
I
you good.
remember I used to watch the show Friends, right? I
Yeah.
used to,
I like friends.
Amy was real big on Friends, so we used to watch Friends. There was this episode in Friends where the two characters, Monica and Chandler, were about to get married.
Mm-hmm.
And so Monica and Chandler had never lived together, but as they were getting married, they decided to move in with one another. So when Chandler moves in, Monica was this very strong, organized woman. She always had everything in its
Yeah.
place.
Yes.
Nothing was out of place. Perfectly neat person. So while they're living together, Chandler notices that there's this closet in the house that she keeps a key and a lock for.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, yo, what's up with this closet in the house? He goes through the whole house. He notices there's no other lock anywhere. Nothing else is blocked out. He's trying to figure out, why can't I get in this closet? So he asked her about the closet. He's like, babe, can I get the key to that closet? And she's like, oh no, you don't need that. And he's like, wait a minute now, what's up with the closet?
Right. Right.
And she's like, don't worry about it. It's nothing. So over time, like, it starts driving him crazy. He's like, why won't she let me in this closet? I've been wanting to get in this. She won't let me in this closet. So finally, one day when she's at work, he can't take it no more. He breaks in. He
Yeah.
breaks into the closet, and lo and behold, it's an absolute mess. I mean, you talking about this woman is a neat freak. Everything always in its place. He breaks into this closet. It is a disaster area. And when she comes home and sees him in the closet, she loses it.
Yep.
And he's like, why are you so upset? What's the problem? She was like, well, when I clean up, sometimes I find things that don't fit anywhere. And when I can't figure out where they go, I just throw them in this
Throw it in the
closet.
closet.
And then this closet just became this big mess. And I'm not a messy person, so I don't want anybody to see this mess that I have.
That's a good
And that's why I have the
analogy.
key in the lock, and the closet is locked up. So all this time she was hiding her mess from him. But when he finally broke in there and saw it, he said, man, I feel like I'm okay now. I
Right.
realized that everybody got some mess.
Everybody.
And so it made the relationship better when he could get inside that area that she was blocking away from him. And so in relationships, I think a lot of times that's what we do. We find these little closets of spaces that we hide from our spouse, and it drives our spouse crazy. It's a space where we're not vulnerable. It's a space where we're hiding our mess, and becomes a issue mentally, emotionally. It causes us to have all kinds of crazy behaviors when all
Mhm.
we got to do is give that person the key and trust that they're not going to hurt us with what they see inside. But that's the key. We got to go back to that safe space.
Safe
When I
space.
see what's in that closet, I'm not going to hurt you. Anyway, I'm done. I done ran over extra 12
No,
minutes.
no, no, you good, you good. I want to read an anonymous comment that somebody shared. And it was dealing when we were talking about the well, when I was implying that, of course, in marriage, or a woman being the one that gives men insecurities by the nagging or the saying or the whatever, digging in the wounds. But they said that they want, but I think we need to be careful to not imply that the source of men's insecurities are women. I know that that is not what you're saying, but just need to be made clear. And that's a good comment, because I wasn't, definitely wasn't just saying it's just women. But I was using myself as an example of how to dig. And
Right.
we are so um men have issues on so many different levels. Like you say, for women, we're so easy to talk. Society is, you're right, John, society is, we're so easy to as women, more prone to try to deal and to get stuff done, or to try to figure it out or talk with someone else. Men are more laid back, and they don't, and it's because of the societal insecurities. um Somebody had a comment of how we were prone as men to be so masculine, that we're
Yeah.
supposed to be masculine, and all of a sudden it's flipped. All of a sudden now, the masculinity part, excuse me, is totally gone in regards to men, and it's a whole different, there you go, thank you. Everything else now is being promoted. There's this change of and if I don't know if some of the change may be, I'm just trying to be somewhat of like a devil's advocate on that, to say, is they're wanting to say, okay, men, you can cry, you can be soft, you can be this. So then now, instead of showing, I said, I'm trying to be, I don't know if that's the right thing to
Right.
say, but I'm just saying, I'm wondering if that is some of the reasons why everything else has become into play with that, because again, it was always so hard, hard, hard. And you're not supposed to cry, you're not supposed to do this, you got to man up, you're supposed to take care of, just like you say, you cover, you cover your house. I was at my grandma's house today. Me and my husband took my kids down there because they're with my aunts now, my aunt and uncle now in Myrtle Beach. And so we took them down there, and I was at my grandma's house. My grandma's 94.
Wow.
I think that's right.
Wow.
94.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, she gonna get me. But she's sitting on the chair, and she's talking or whatever, whatever. And I said, okay, I was like, we gotta go, because I'm like, I gotta do the podcast tonight. And I'm like, Kenny gotta go to work. And she looked at me, she was like, who gotta go to work? And I was I was looking at her, I'm like, I just said, I was like, Kenny has to go to work. And she was like, oh, so you making him work now, huh? And I said, no, like, I don't have to make him go to work. I said he got a whole family, and if the roof's supposed to stay over our head, and I was doing that whole thing of all of the things that men are supposed to do. If he's supposed to
Right.
eat, if he's like, and so Kenny, and she's like, so she don't have to force you to go to work. He said, I got a family. I got people I have to take care of. Like, why would she force me to go to work? And I know she wasn't saying it in a negative way. She was just being grandmama, trying to have a conversation, I think, pretty much. And she was like, and you working nights? And she looked at me like, so you gonna be home by yourself? And I'm sitting there looking like, yeah, I'm grown, I'm good, But I thought about that even in this whole thing of that trend, that
Yeah.
from generations. My grandmama 94 something years old, and it was like, and then she said, that's right, you better take care of your family. It's good that you doing that. Like you supposed to work, and that's what you do, because that's what we're taught from
Yeah.
her generation. Her husband worked 24/7. Like, that's all. Granddaddy work, 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 work. Granddaddy was a hard worker. My grandmama did not have to work at all ever in a day. Now, of course, she did the field and all of that, or whatever, whatever. And she made sure the house part was taken care of. And when she decided, one time my grandmama decided she wouldn't work, she went and worked in the kitchen at like Western Steer, Western Sizzling
Right.
for a split second. Literally for a split second. It was like, I want to do something. And then she came back, I don't know, maybe a week later and was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm turning crazy." Just little something like that. But it's instilled. This is
Yes.
what you do. Society, this is what you do. This is how you're supposed to be. This is the norm. And it's not the norm that we need to focus on for mental health issues, for results of being sane and being whole and being healed, because that's the part we want to get at. Men need healing as well in the mental health department. And
Yeah.
so I am so glad and fortunate that when I was able to see myself, my husband started seeing that I saw things, right? And and saw the difference, if you will. And so he was able to open up. He was able to now trust who he was talking to. The communication was better. Now he felt safer to say things to me because now I wasn't going to go on the attack. I wasn't going to try to bash, or I wasn't going to pick, because a lot of it was picking, because I just be like,
Yeah.
you crying. So, all of that. And but then on the flip side, still because of issues that and baggage that I brought into marriage too, it was like he had to be the stronger person, the stronger
Yeah.
version, because somebody had to be strong in the family. So it's all good. Like I'm listening to this. This is all good. And yes, society has thrown a blow, if you will, in this. And
Yeah.
we definitely have to combat some of these things. So we definitely have to seek mental health. We need um
Yeah.
I don't want men to feel isolated.
And that's the thing. That's
Yeah,
it. Like we isolate. It's not that we even
that
feel
part.
isolated. We isolate.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because a lot of times we're embarrassed by our weaknesses.
Yeah.
We want to be strong and we're embarrassed by our weaknesses. And so instead of being in a place where everybody shows, hey man, we got the same issues, you and be by yourself and try to hide your issue. Um, and it's not healthy, man. It's not good. That's what we do. Our go-to is to isolate. So I pray that men learn we don't have to isolate. That's a key factor that enemies use. They
Right.
divide and they conquer.
Divide and
Get you
conquer.
by yourself and then
Yep.
beat you down.
Yep.
And so we don't want that. And I
Yeah.
and as we're working through and trying to become better men, society has changed.
Yeah.
When you think about like more ancient societies, being masculine, going out, killing the fatted calf,
Yeah.
dragging it back to the house by yourself, marauders coming through trying to take over your town. Let's
Right.
go, fellas. Let's go get them. They
Yeah.
not coming up in here. Like, we were protectors. We were providers. We were necessary.
Yeah.
But as society has changed, it makes our role seem obsolete. Like, a woman to tell you real quick, I could provide for myself. I don't need nobody to provide for me. I could get my own.
And
So,
we need
but
to
that's
stop
something that a
saying
man.
stuff like that though. Oh,
But
Jesus. But that's true
but
though.
and here's the thing. But then at the same time, the expectation is for the man to provide.
Right.
But when he don't do what you want him to do or provide the way you like him to provide, then all of a sudden, well, I can provide for myself.
Myself.
And
Yeah.
society has reinforced that, the way that society is set up now. Back in the day, man, listen, if you ain't had a man that can hunt, y'all might not eat.
Right.
Nowadays, oh man, we gonna go to the supermarket. We gonna take this EBT and we gonna be all right.
Yeah.
We don't need you, brother. So so then as the family breaks down, because the man used to be an important factor in that. Now he's not, and he's not made to feel important. Like, when I can't remember what it was. Amy and I watched somebody talking on marriage one time. I think it was Joel Osteen. Matter of fact, it was funny. I like teasing Joel. You know how Joel Osteen talks, and so smooth and
This is
quiet.
my Bible.
And this is my Bible. And so Joel was explaining. He was explaining. He was like, women, I remember when my wife, I would come home and she'd be in her rollers and her slippers. And it didn't make me feel good, because if anyone else came to the house, she would be dressed with her makeup on, looking beautiful. Why is
Right.
it that she's honoring these other people more than she's honoring me? If the pastor was coming over to the house, she'd make sure she did this, that, and the third, but she doesn't do it for me. What does that do for her, man?
I'm
And
cracking
we were
up
watching
right
that thing,
now.
and I said, "Oh, baby, oh, oh." And so the lesson was,
True.
listen, don't show honor to some other man more than your boss doesn't get more respect than your
Come
husband.
on. Come
Your
on.
pastor
That's
don't get
true.
more respect than your husband. If you was going to dress up and look nice for your pastor coming home, why you ain't do that for your husband? Why he always get the slippers and the rollers?
Come
Come on,
on.
man. Like, eh, you know, so I just say that because there, all of these little things, your man's not going to say nothing to you about it. But over time, on the inside, he just going to weigh it. He just going to carry it. And he going to start backing off more and more because he ain't going to want to fight. He ain't going to want to wrestle. And the more he backs off, the more angry you going to get.
Right.
And we don't want to continue in that cycle. We want to fix that cycle in our families. So, brothers, we got to learn to be assertive when it comes to our emotions. Yes, it's okay to be angry and upset, and it's okay to say, "Hey, this is how what that did made me feel. This is
Right.
what I felt about that." Say that. You need to get that off your chest. You need to be able to do that. So, be assertive in how you feel. Change certain behaviors. Again,
Right.
eat healthy, exercise, get with different other gentlemen and talk about your situations. Like those type of behaviors can help us with our emotions and our mental health. Sometimes you're going to feel what you feel, even some thoughts you can't control, but you can control your behaviors.
That's
You
it.
can control what you do,
Yes.
and if you do better, you will feel better.
You'll feel better.
And so it just takes time and discipline. That's something that I'm trying to implement more in my life, just more discipline, more consistency. um Take ownership and responsibility for yourself. And brothers, we gonna be all right, man. We
Y'all
got
gonna be all
families to
right.
take care. We gonna
That's
be all
right.
right.
That's right. And as women, we gonna make sure that you all gonna be all right. And some
I
of
love
the,
it.
some of the symptoms and that you see, like we talk about the aggression and the violence, the high risk activities. We talked about
Hmm.
substance abuse and physical
Yep.
issues, chronic headaches or stomach aches, feeling of restlessness and difficulty
Yeah.
focusing, appetite and weight changes, fatigue, um, obsessive thinking. These are all issues. These are all symptoms that we can see as women in our spouses or in your boyfriends and your fathers and your uncles, because you can see it in other people. It
And
doesn't
your
have to be your
brothers.
spouse,
Yeah.
right? In your brothers. These are some of the things that you can see. And once you see it, start dealing with it on that point. I mean, you're talking about the eating habits. I did notice that my husband is, being, even though he don't look at half the times because he with all the training and he used to run physically fit as well. um you know it was one thing that he started doing more of, and that's clean eating. And society is doing a thing without food, y'all. I believe it
Right.
to the fullest. Because there, things don't taste the same, this
Nah.
just different stuff. And we were even talking about this a little bit last night, but I realized when he started eating, like you said, some of the things with your diet and your exercise that helps you with your mental, help you be able to even communicate better. I noticed that with him. I
Right.
noticed that when he's eating differently, I can tell, and I'm like, okay. Oh, I mean, I know I can see it, but I mean, his thoughts are more clear, and he is apt to talk to me better. He's apt to
Right.
communicate with me differently. So, be encouraged, men. I mean, really, because
Yeah.
when you isolate yourself and when you get alone and when you don't talk and you're not able to share, it does go to where you're harming yourselves more. Suicide rates are going up. The disorders, like I said, are becoming undiagnosed. You start to withdraw so much. I've known people that, with mental health disorders in my family that withdraw so very much to where they become homeless, not
Yeah.
because they have to. I'm talking about they leave a family with the house, the whole nine, and just become homeless. Like,
Yeah.
why are you out there? just gone, just totally withdraw from themselves. And so we don't want you to do that. We don't want you to have to think that this is something that you have to do. We're here for you. I'm here for you. I may not be your husband. I ain't nobody's husband. I may not be I may not be your wife or anything
Right.
of that, but I'm here to help and assist. I am here to be somebody that I can say, listen, if need be, if you need assistance and help with something, I can direct you to somebody. I can give you Brother Ricky's information. Ricky will
Amen.
talk to you and he'll have my husband. We've been talking about that, Ricky. It's so funny that y'all had the men's um thing at y'all church. My husband actually was gonna come, but he had to work
Right. Right.
because he did know about it and he was going to come, but he was talking about that. He was like, being able to fellowship. The first thing he said, though, I'm gonna be honest with you, he was like, I wonder if it's going to be just like another cookout, because we good for that. We good for coming together and just eating. That's the norm that we see on our side, let me just say it that way. And
Right.
so to hear that it was actually a fellowship to where people could come together and you can talk about some things, have some friction, be like,
Yeah.
but still at the end of the day, walk away and be like, yo, I needed that conversation. Because all of your conversations, all of your communications are not going to be easy. It's not going to be smooth, especially in the beginning, because you got to unload and get it out.
Yeah.
And we have to be great listeners. You have to find somebody that you can talk to that's also going to be a great listener. Because if you're not talking to somebody that can listen and decipher and could go through that, the first level of counseling is knowing what the problem is. You got to know the stuff.
Right.
If I don't know what you're going through and I just start talking because I ain't listening to you, that's a problem. And then I ain't coming back. That's the main reason why you
Right.
don't go back to a counselor. You got to make sure you got the right person. So even with the people that you communicate, if it's not a counselor, talk to a person that you know that will be able to listen to you and will be able
Sure.
to take you to the level that you need to go. But this was when I tell you this was good, I meant men, you're not alone. I'm there. I'm so there with um you're not alone. You are not by
Yeah.
yourselves. We all go through it. It's not just I can't get it out. It's not just African American
Right.
males either.
It's
it's
men. Yeah.
it's
Like,
multicultural. It's all
absolutely.
over. Every last one of the races, the ethnicities. Get it
That's.
out.
I'm
Woo,
gonna let you say that one.
I know,
Yeah.
right? Every last one of them, they have issues in this area.
That's right.
And because even in their own culture, men are still supposed to be the strong one. Men are still supposed to be the one that's going to provide, that's going to take care. So it's not just one culture. We may see it more predominantly in one set, but hey, it's not. I was at a meeting, and I'm gonna stop talking because I can talk too much too, but this falls here with what I'm saying. I was at it was like a prayer breakfast not too long ago, and it was multicultural in the prayer breakfast. And we were talking to the most of the panelists, when I'm saying all of the panelists were African American. And they were talking, da da da. And this white lady got up and she was like, this is good. It was helping her. And she said, I want y'all to know what y'all talking about. It's definitely in the white community too. Like,
That's
so
right.
don't, it's not. And and
That's
and
right.
honestly and
100%.
truthfully, when she said that, people were like
Like,
almost like
really?
they were shocked. Like it was like, what? And she was like, oh no. And we probably have it more than y'all know. We just don't say nothing. You don't hear us talk about it as much.
That's right.
So that's another thing. It's not only that we're not talking, they're not talking, Latinos are not talking. I ain't gonna start calling these different things out because I miss somebody. I want nobody to think I'm trying to ignore them or
Right.
whatever. But
Right.
all of us, come fall short. All of us have some mess. All of us
Yeah.
have a Monica
That's
somewhere
right.
in us. Literally, I saw that episode. That was hilarious. Chandler was like, yes, like I'm not in, like, yeah, dude. She was like, but I don't need you to be messy. You don't understand. And he was like, no, this is good.
Right.
But yeah, all of us have that. And so we need to learn how to take care of that. We need to learn how to gather ourselves. We need to be able to pull it in first. Like you said, your first thing, first way of helping yourself is I forgot where it is, but there it is.
Find someone that you can trust to talk to.
Find someone that you can trust to talk to. Y'all start exercising. That's the second thing. And this is not all, but that's the second thing. And then thirdly, pray. I know people don't like to be, we gotta pray. Listen. I say this all the time. Anytime that I'm
Men
online,
ought to
I'm on the
always
air.
pray.
Men, that's what the Bible says. Men are to always pray. And everything that I do, I give respect, honor, and deference, reverence to God, because it is by Him that I'm able to do all of the things that I do. And He's the reason why I am here. I had my bouts of my
Right.
depression and my suicide and I had all of my bouts. It is by the grace of God that I'm here. Oh, I took a whole bottle of pills. So it is
Right.
but by the grace of God that I'm here. So I've gone through some of these things that we're talking about. And it's not fun, it's not easy. And the way I felt doing it, men, I trust me when I say we understand. We
Yes.
do. We all understand women and men alike. We really, really do. And we don't want you to feel like you're alone. You're not alone. You're never alone. You always have someone to talk to. We do have the National Mental Health hotline number
Bingo.
up there, because even if you can't talk to us, the mental health hotline number is up there, 800-854-6025. That's 800-854-6025. Please, please, please call that number. And if you're past that number and you feel like you're on the verge of suicide, listen, here's the suicide hotline number as well. It is 800-273-8255. 800-273-8255. If those numbers are too much for you to dial when you feel like pulling the trigger or jumping or whatever, 911 always works. And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm dead serious, because
100%.
these operators are trained to help and to get you in the right direction before you do something tragic. So I love you guys for joining and tuning in. I appreciate it. Ricky, as always, my brother, for real, for real. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. Listen, guys, I'm gonna put Ricky's Cash App information up here. No, he did not ask me to do it, but I'm doing it. $ Ricky Gaillard. Please support, and by sharing, if he gave you anything, I'm telling you right now, I was blessed. There were some things that I didn't even think about. That whole Adam and Eve thing with the whole he's ruling over me. You gonna want to, but he may what? That blew my mind. There was other stuff that blew my mind too, but I'm just saying the conversation, it was great. And I appreciate you. So I'm again, thank you so very much for sharing your knowledge in this with us. Guys, feel free again to write us, to let us know if you
Yes.
have any questions, if there are any comments. I did see some people from different places. I know we have people that are viewing on Facebook as well as YouTube. So I don't know what you see on the numbers on the Facebook side. We see a different number because we're looking at a screen with a collective amount of platforms on it. But thank you guys so much on all of the platforms that have been tuning in. Listen, share, 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 share.
Yes, please.
And I'm asking that you would please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please do so, because that is going to help spread this information, the wealth of knowledge that we can have, anything that we can share that can assist somebody else. That is the goal. That is what we are trying to do. And we do have a link tree site that you can go on the Linktree website. You see the Facebook pages links, YouTube channel link, the Twitter link, Instagram link. All of those are out there. So please, please, please follow us, like the pages, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you want to be a blessing to Danielle, the brand, to this platform, you can do so with Cash App as well.
Do it.
Cash App Danielle Lee the brand. Thank you. Cash App Danielle
Do
Lee
it.
the brand. I can't get it out. You're a mess. And do so. And we are greatly appreciate it. And get your copy of the book, Shame is Not to Blame, How Overcoming Pain Leads to Purpose. The other one is on the way. It's on the way.
All right.
Deliver
Yes,
me from
Lord.
me. It is on the way, and it's going to be wonderful. Listen again, guys, thank you so very much. I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. Still share it, still tag people, still like it, because we want the message to get out there. Again, men, We love you. We love you. You are not alone. We don't want you to feel isolated. Please, please, please know that without you, there will be no us. Okay. And that's just bottom line it. All right. So don't be discouraged. We're here. There are people out there that want to help. And so please, please seek the counsel that you need so that you can get better, so that you can heal and move forward. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Until next time, Danielle speaks.